when you say instructor for the day, are we going to have different instructor every day?
No, he will be the same. It's Lalit. So he will also introduce himself after my brief introduction. So hello everyone, this is Praveen from Infini, and I welcome all the participants for joining the live and interactive session on AWS Cloud. A brief about us: our platform offers instructor-led live and interactive courses, that is not pre-recorded courses on trending technologies. We have more than 5,000 active enrollments and have conducted more than 500 plus hours of live sessions in the last 2 years from Infinity platform. So what I will do is I will now give you a short demo of the platform, and later on you can explore more about our platform yourself. So now I'm going to share my screen to give a brief demo of our platform. So when you come into Infini.com to join, you have to just log in.
When your screen is not
your
visible.
Registered email ID.
When your screen is not visible.
Hello, my screen is visible, right?
No.
Your screen is not visible.
One second. Hello, now it's visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So now I'm logging to the Infini system using my registered email ID and password. So once you log in into the system, you will find a dashboard where you will get the summary of all that is available on Infini. So to join a session, if there is a session today, so I will get a link on my dashboard where I can just click on join live session and get into the session from the dashboard itself. Also, there are other features what all the sessions that I have enrolled for, I'll be able to see it from this screen, that is from the live session screen. Also, after the end of every session, the sessions will be recorded, and the recording of that sessions will be available to you from the session recordings menu. So here you can see all the sessions which have been completed. You will be finding it here, and you can just click here and go through the sessions for that day. And once you have completed the courses, it will be available on completed courses. Also, you will have the option to give review for that course. So this is some of the features that are available on the Infini platform. So you can yourself go through about the more features available here. So now I will request Lalit to introduce himself and take it forward, and hope you all have a good learning time. Thank you, everyone. So Lalit, now you can take it forward. I am just closing my session sharing.
Okay, thanks for having.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, this is
Yeah,
Lalit.
Lalit, now you can go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, thank you. Hi everyone, can you hear me? Good morning, good evening.
Yes, Lalit.
Okay. So welcome to this AWS Architecting on AWS. My name is Lalit and I am an AWS Cloud Solution Architect as well as a trainer. My basic role is to design the infrastructure on the cloud. Using the computing, storage, network, databases, we design the infrastructure on the cloud. So here we are going to study about that only, how to architect an infrastructure on the cloud. So guys, before I start, I just want to know what exactly infrastructure means. Any idea? What is infrastructure?
Mainly the servers and the CPU, RAM, and also the processors
Correct?
and networking.
Correct. Networking, servers, CPU, storage, that's what, correct? Now, AWS is a cloud computing environment. Now, before cloud computing, what we used to have, any idea? Before this
We used
cloud
to have a physical servers, independent servers for each organization, which we'll deploy by ourselves.
Correct.
It's not related to internet.
Correct. So before this cloud computing, what we used to have is a data centers, a very big giant data centers where a company needs to buy all the resources, company needs to design the data centers, which cost them millions of dollars. Then they need to buy the resources from different regions. They bring the resources, they configure the resources, and then they start designing their application, installation of that application. And after that, they will go live. So the entire procedure will take from months to year. Now, this is again a very challenging part to design the data centers to bring the resources. It requires a lot of big funding. Now, what cloud computing offers you is here you do not need to buy a data center. Here you don't need to buy a resource. Everything here with a pay-as-you-go model. So these data centers, these resources are going to be managed by third-party vendor like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Alibaba. These are the vendors who take care of the infrastructure part. They will buy the resources, they will configure the resource, they will maintain the resource. Everything will be taken care by the cloud vendors. And what we use is, we use these services as long as we need with a pay-as-you-go model. So if I want a server for the next 3 days, 4 days, or even for the next 2 hours, I can have a resource there. And once I'm done with my resources, once I'm done with my infrastructure, I can delete my resource and I will not get charged. So cloud computing gives us the environment where we can get the resources on a rented, we can say.
Lalit, is there any PPT that you're covering? Because at least for me, I can see only AWS cloud computing.
Yes, as of now, I'm just sharing that one. I'm
Okay.
just doing a small introduction, then I'll go in brief.
Sure.
So that is a
And
very—
Lalit, one question. So how is the data stored in the cloud-based environment? What is the format? And we know that it's not a database, right?
No, it's a database. There are varieties of databases are there. And you can choose whatever you want. If you want an RDS, if you want a NoSQL, if you want an object-based storage system, if you want a block level storage, a varieties of storage systems are there. So in the way you want, you can have it.
Okay.
Now, basically what happens in the cloud computing, we buy the resource get allocated to us, and then we can design our infrastructure. But how a company can get benefit from this? Like I can get a server whenever I want, and once I'm done, I can release a resource. So how this Amazon and Googles are getting paid for this? How they are getting benefit from this? The thing here is, The resource what we are getting allocated is a shared hardware, is a shared between different customers. So let's take an example. Amazon has a data centers in India, in Mumbai. Okay. So when I design the infrastructure in data center of Mumbai, the hardware is shared between multiple AWS customer. So if I'm creating a server and at the same time you are also creating a server, so the possibility is we both are creating a server on the same hardware. The possibility is we are both getting the server on the same hardware. So as long as I need that server, I can get allocated on that hardware. Once I'm done, the hardware will be deallocated and maybe in future it will allocate to another customer. So here we are not getting a dedicated resources. Here we are getting the shared space. So the question must be, what about my data security? Is the data being shared with other customers? What happens then? So in this case, AWS or any other cloud vendor will offer you completely isolated network. You get completely hardware level of access. Whatever you do in that particular hardware will be allocated to a single customer only. The data is not shared between different customers. Now, how exactly that works, we'll see in our first day of introduction to the cloud computing. That is done with a hypervisor. So it's just a small introduction about the cloud. What we used to have as a data center and now what we have a cloud. So what AWS offers you? AWS cloud provides a broad set of infrastructure services such as computing, storage, networking, and database that are delivered to you as a utility on demand, available in second and pay-as-you-go model. So just as like you told earlier, that infrastructure is nothing but a combination of your computing, RAM, CPU, storage, networking, and database. So those are nothing but a infrastructure. If I get access to this core services, I can design any infrastructure I want. That may be a simple e-commerce application, a big data application, machine learning, artificial intelligence, whatever I want. If I have access to this 4 core service, I can design any infrastructure I want. So AWS is specialized in providing you this infrastructure core services. Now, along with this, AWS do also offer you more than 150 other managed services. So what is the difference between an unmanaged and managed service? These core services are unmanaged. Here, it's up to you how you want to configure the resource. If you want to have a server of 1 core CPU, 1 GB RAM, 2 core CPU, 2 GB RAM, and if you want to install Apache server, IIS server, that is completely up to you. In the way you want, you can design. With the AWS managed service, Amazon will take care of everything. You will provide the instruction how you want to have your servers, and Amazon will create the servers. Amazon will configure the servers for you. Now you can just manage the services. So these are the differences between an unmanaged and the managed service that AWS offers. Now all the resources are on demand, available in second and pay-as-you-go model. So here you don't need to do any kind of commitment that I need a server, I need 100 GBs of storage for the next 1 day, 1 month, 1 year, etc. Everything is on demand. If you want a server right now, you can have it. And this will be available to you within seconds. I'll show you one demo that launching a server will be very, very fast. And it will be available to you within seconds. With pay-as-you-go model. Pay-as-you-go model means as long as you are running the service will be available to you. Once you stop the machine, the service will not be available to you and you will not get charged. So for the number of hours, minutes, seconds you have consumed, you will get charged. There are certain services which are charged to you per hourly basis. There are certain services which offer to you per second billing, per millisecond billing as well. So AWS is continuously rolling out the new features, new AWS services where you can get a lot of benefits here. So what are the benefits of using the cloud environment or specifically AWS? The very first is easy to use. You don't need to install any software on your system. Whether it's a Windows, Mac or Linux, doesn't matter. What we are going to use is browser. Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Safari, whatever you have, that is fine. Because we get an AWS management console and we can interact with all the services using this management console. So easy to use. Here you get a flexibility. What flexibility? That you can change the type of your machines, you can change the modifications on your infrastructure at any point of time. For example, right now I have 2-core CPU, 2 GB RAM. In case tomorrow my requirement changes, I can easily scale to a higher version. I can go with a 4-core CPU, 4 GB RAM. Or let's say I have 10 GB of storage now. Tomorrow I need another 10 GB. So I have the flexibility to move it to another 20 GB tomorrow. And again, in future, if I don't want, I can reduce back to the initial version. So from 1 server to 10 server, back to the 1 server, you can easily scale your services whenever you want. You have here the flexibility to manage your resources. Reliability. Now, how will you define this reliability to the resources that you create? Of course, definitely when you design the infrastructure for your customers, client, they will ask you what is the reliability guarantee? What if something goes wrong in the AWS data centers? What about that infrastructure? Yes, that might be a possibility. A natural disaster, a natural calamities can occur and may destroy the AWS data center. So in this case, what is my reliability? The data which I have stored is, will be available. So here on the AWS, the resources mostly come with a 99.91% of availability guarantee minimum. There are certain services which offer you even higher reliability and availability guarantee. 99.59, 99.119, 99.99, and 100% of availability guarantee as well. So how this exactly work? So basically, whenever you create a resource on the AWS, Amazon will replicate that copy to another availability zone, to another device. So if I have a 10 GB of storage, which I have created, Amazon will automatically replicate to another facility. So in case if one of the facility goes down, then there will be copy available in another facility from where Amazon can recover the data. So in this way, Amazon maintains a single copy, multiple copies at the background, depending upon the service to service. So again, this question comes. If Amazon is replicating the data, what about my data security? Are they using the data for getting the insights or they are accessing the data? Not at all. This replica copy will be only used if there is any disaster happen. If from the Amazon side, if there is need to recover the data, then only Amazon will use this replica copy to recover your information, to recover your data. Otherwise, Amazon will not use that copy. Still, your customers may ask you this question, do you have any transparency over there? So in that case, what we can implement is, we can encrypt our data. Amazon offers you varieties of services for encryption. You can also bring your own keys and encrypt the data. Or you can also have client-side encryption. So whenever you upload the data on the cloud, you can encrypt it so that no one will have access to the data. So that is again possibility of a highly reliable solution. The another reliability comes is how the infrastructure will automatically heal. Let's say if one of the server goes down, how then automatically the server will be able to heal itself and have one or more server. If my infrastructure requires 10 server, if due to some reason, if one of the server goes down, so what is my reliability that automatically the server will come? That is resiliency, automatic healing and recovering your data. So again, varieties of services are there through which you can implement. Cost effective, as the resources are shared between multiple customers, so we get a very cost effective solution here for massive economy of scale.
Hey Lalit, you are not audible, Lalit.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
All right. So I was talking about the cost effectivity. Basically here you get a huge amount of cost effectiveness because of the shared model. The resources are shared with the different customers. So here we get a cost effective. At the same time, we get a massive economy of scale. We don't need to buy a data centers. We don't need to configure the data centers. We don't need to do any kind of commitment here. Everything is on demand. So again, that is a cost effective thing. Scalable and high performance. I can scale my infrastructure whenever I need. Right now, if I have 2 servers, let's say there's a spike on my infrastructure. So I can easily scale to 3 server, 4 server whenever I need. And once my traffic goes down, I can roll back to my previous version. So let's say we are running an e-commerce application and tomorrow there is a sale on my e-commerce application. And you know that the traffic will be twice as your existing one. So in that case, you can schedule it and tomorrow by 12 p.m., the server, your infrastructure will be twice. You can double your infrastructure at that point of time. Or you can scale based on the traffic. If the traffic is getting added, it will automatically keep on adding the number of servers. And once the traffic goes down, we can reduce the size of our infrastructure and we'll come back to the original position. So in this way, I can scale my application whenever I need. And once I'm done, I can delete the resource. So I will just get charged for the number of hours I will consume. Now, this is a very important feature that you cannot achieve on an on-premise. Can you guys? Can you have a scalability on your on-premise infrastructure? Let's say on your on-premise data centers, you are having 10 servers. Now there's a sudden spike on your infrastructure. Can you handle that load?
Not without that extensive cost, right? That you have to bear for the rest of the period.
Yes, but in addition to that, the servers which is required may be available on your data centers and maybe not be. And there are certain resources are there which is not available in your region. So you need to pre-plan, you need to buy the resources from different region, you need to configure. That might take days and months. So scaling whenever I need, that is not possible. Secure. AWS offers you varieties of security at different layers. We have security group, network access control is, encryption, then flow log, CloudWatch, CloudTrail, web service. A lot of services are there through which you can control and you can define who can access to your resources and who cannot at the very granular level. So at different layers, we have different securities. So now let's talk about the global infrastructure. What is global infrastructure? A global infrastructure defines where the Amazon data centers are available. Amazon data centers are available across 23 regions worldwide. Just last week only, AWS has released a new region in South Africa, Cape Town. This is the one that you see here. This is a Cape Town, which is recently, last week only, Amazon has released. So there are 23 regions available worldwide, and you can design your infrastructure in any of the region. So if you are sitting in India, but your client is from US, you can design the infrastructure in US by sitting in India. If your customer is in Singapore, Australia, anywhere, by sitting in India, you can design it anywhere. So the circles that you see in the orange are nothing but the regions. In India, we have one region. In US, there are multiple regions available, Singapore, Australia, varieties. So similarly, we have 23 regions. Now out of these 23 regions, only 19 regions are accessible. You are not allowed to design the infrastructure in 4 regions. Why? Because out of those 4 regions, 2 regions are reserved for the US government and 2 regions are reserved for the China government. So these are the government cloud. You are not allowed to design the infrastructure unless your application belongs to that US government or China government. So we have 19 regions where we can design our infrastructure wherever we want. Now the count that you see inside each of the region is nothing but called as ability zone. Ability zone is the number of or the cluster of data centers available in a particular region. A single AZ means a cluster of data center. Data center A, data center B, data center C. So these three data centers will together act as a single ability zone. So similarly, we have multiple ability zones. Till date, there are 73 ability zones available worldwide. And each region will have 2 ability zones. So in India, we have 3 ability zones. That means 3 clusters of data center. Now each of this ability zone is completely isolated and connected to another ability zone via dedicated connection, LAN connection. Each of these ability zones are interconnected to each other, but they are completely isolated. And whenever you want to design the infrastructure, you can go with the ability zone. You choose one of the ability zone and you design the infrastructure there. Now you can also choose multiple ability zone for your infrastructure. What is the benefit for that? So let's say I want to run an e-commerce site which requires 10 servers, right? Now if I design all the 10 servers in one of the ability zone, and in case if something happens to that ability zone, then my application will fail to perform. If any kind of disaster, natural calamities occur on that ability zone, my entire infrastructure will fail. So what I can do is I can distribute my application across multiple AZs. Ability zone 1A and ability zone 1B. 5 servers in one of the AZ, 5 servers in another AZ. So now when a request is coming, my load will be distributed across all the AZs. Now in case one of the AZ goes down, then I have an infrastructure up and running in another AZ. That will help me to run my application. So in this way, my application will be highly available and there will be no downtime. So in this way, we will have multiple strategies we need to see how to design the infrastructure, and this is what expected from you. As a solution architect, this is expected from you to design the highly available solution on the cloud. And the third one is the edge location. Edge location is not a data center. Edge location is a content delivery network. Have you guys heard of this content delivery network? What is CDN?
Actually CDN is nothing but when we are connecting to the networks where we can store our contents like videos, images.
Correct. Any application which uses this CDN?
Yeah, any application it can use.
Okay, so I explain you what exactly the CDN is. For example, a person sitting in US has uploaded a video. I'm sitting in India trying to access the video very first time. So here my network needs to travel to US, grab the information, come back to India, and then I will be able to see the data. Now, if you see the geographical location from India to US, it's very high. My network needs to travel a multiple peers, come back with the data, which will take some time. Let's assume that the entire network travel will take 400 milliseconds. To get the data, it took 400 milliseconds. So every time a request goes from India, it will take 400 milliseconds approximately. Now what we can do is we can enable the CDN network. So once the data is come to India, now it will be cached in Indian location. The data will be cached in India. So that the next time any request made to that video, the request will not go to the server, which is situated in US. The data request will go to the regional edge location, regional cache location. So if for me it took 400 milliseconds, the next time it will just take 10, 20, 50, 100 milliseconds somewhere. So here the data delivery will be fast, the user response will be great, and here we can improve the performance. Every time the request does not require to go to the US, we can cache the data and the request can be forwarded with that caching data. CDN is a very important service in all the application. It improves your performance. Now, which company uses the CDN network? This is one of the very popular service.
Netflix.
Yes.
Facebook.
Netflix, Amazon Prime, your mobile updates. Nowadays, whatever the mobile updates, laptop updates that you are receiving from Apple, mobile phones, Samsungs and everything, these are also come from a CloudFront only. That is edge locations, cache location. Then whenever you hit any website, generally very popular website like Amazon.in, Flipkart, or any other e-commerce site, or any other blog system. So data remains same. So this data is also cached. When I go to the Amazon.in, I can see as soon as I hit this Amazon.in, all the images, all the media files is already loaded in a very fraction of seconds, fractions of milliseconds. So how that is possible? Because the data is already cached in my regional edge location. That's the reason. So now Amazon also offers you these edge locations, and total there are more than 200 edge locations available globally. More than 200 edge locations are available globally, where you can cache the data and you can improve the performance. So that is edge location. Now this three comes under the global infrastructure, which AWS will take care of it. This is the AWS responsibility to maintain the region, outreach zones, and edge location. This comes under the responsibility of AWS.
So for edge location, from our side as a we need to enable it, or Amazon will automatically take care different kind of request based on the zones.
No. You must enable it. Amazon by default do not offer you that. You need to, there is a service available called as CloudFront. This is the CloudFront service that you see here. This is a CloudFront service that will enable the CloudFront, this content delivery network. So you need to enable it, and then the data will be cached. Again, there are varieties of strategies that you can implement. So this is our course ingredients, what we are going to discuss in our course. To start with the basic of the cloud computing, we'll see what is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, what is public cloud, private cloud, hybrid infrastructures. We'll see the basic of the cloud. Then we'll jump to the introduction to the AWS. What is AWS global infrastructure, share responsibility, how to create an AWS account, how to connect to the AWS accounts, everything we'll see there. Then we'll see the very first service, identity access management, which is a security service. Now, identity access management is an authentication and authorization service. How will you give access to your team members to have access to your account? Of course, sharing your own credentials is not a good idea. So how will you grant your team members to have access to your account? So that we are going to discuss here. Then we have EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, which is like creating a server. If you want to have a server, we'll deal with the EC2 service. So there are varieties of options are available here, how to configure the EC2 and everything. Then we have varieties of storage system, and out of them, the very first is a block storage. A block storage is used to boot your operating system. To install the application, we will require a block storage. Then we have a file system, like our FTP, like our network file system, how to have a file system that can be shared across multiple servers at the same time. So that is another service we are going to touch. Then we have Elastic Load Balancer, how to balance the traffic across multiple servers. When a request is coming from a domain and hits to our server, how we can balance the traffic equally across all the servers. So that we are going to deal here. Then we have auto scaling. Auto scaling is a configuration through which we can maintain the number of servers required automatically. If today I need 10 servers, auto scaling will scale the application to 10 servers. If there is a high spike, Amazon will automatically add new servers to my infrastructure If there is a low traffic, Amazon will automatically decrease the size of the capacity. So how we can scale out and scale in automatically, we are going to see in this auto scaling service. Then we have S3, simple storage service, which is an object-based storage system. Just like our Google Drive, SkyDrive, or iCloud, we have this S3 service. Then you have networking, which is a virtual private network, VPC, virtual private cloud. Using this virtual private cloud, you can bring your own IP address. You can design the infrastructure in the way you want. That is the base of the network. Then we have databases. And in databases, we are going to see multiple types of database, like relational database, non-relational database, NoSQL. We have Elastic Cache for caching the database. We have Redshift if you want to design a data warehouse, how we can deal. So all these different kinds of databases we are going to see in this section. So this is a part of infrastructure design, how you can design the infrastructure on AWS. Now the next of the services are automation and managing the infrastructure. So how we can automate the designing of the infrastructure. So we have a service called as CloudFormation. Here we will write a script and Amazon will automatically create a services for us. You want a server, you want a storage, you want to design the entire infrastructure again, you can deal with the CloudFormation. So it's an automation service. Then we have CloudFront, the service which we recently talked about, content delivery network. That service on AWS is called as CloudFront. So with this, you can enable the caching on your infrastructure. Then we have CloudWatch and CloudTrail. CloudWatch will help you to monitor your AWS services. Whatever the infrastructure you have designed, if you want to monitor, like how much of utilization you have made to the server, to the storage, to your resources, you can monitor those resources using the CloudWatch. You don't need any third-party monitoring service here. AWS offers you its own monitoring service for free. Then you have CloudTrail. CloudTrail is basically tracking your user activity, what your team members are doing, who made that call, who created the resource, who deleted the resource. To track your user activity, we have CloudTrail, which is required for auditing purpose, for security purpose, we must require a CloudTrail. Then we have certain application services, which is generally required all the time to design the infrastructure. So AWS offers you that services as a managed one, like SQS, simple queuing service. So if you want to have a queue system, you can go with Amazon SQS. You don't need to design your own queue. You can take help of Amazon queue. SNS, simple notification service. If you want to send a notification to your team members over the mobile phone, email, mobile notifications, you can connect with the SNS service. You don't need to create a publisher subscriber model. The third one is the SCS, simple email service. So if you want to send any promotional mails, any transition mails, any marketing you want to do, you can take a help of SCS. Now, after this, we have again a lot of other services to discuss.
Yeah, Lalit, sorry. So those services will come under application services, right?
Yes, SQS, SNS, and SCS is a part of application services.
Okay.
Then still we have a lot of other services to discuss, like Lambda, which is a serverless service. Serverless means you don't need to create a server, you don't need to manage a server. It's a serverless, event-driven programming. So that we are going to see right now, Lambda is one of the popular service on internet. Everyone wants to go serverless. So how we can go serverless, we are going to see in our Lambda function. Then also we have Elastic Beanstalk.
Lalit, sorry to interrupt you. Can you just expand a little bit more? What do you mean by serverless? The concept seems interesting.
Yes. So usually what happens, we create a server, EC2 instance, we launch our data there, we configure the machine. For example, I need to have a EC2 instance of 2-core CPU, 2 GB RAM. I create the server. Then I configure the server with Apache server. I install the PHP, Python, Java, whatever you need. And then you deploy your application and this function will work. Now here you need to maintain the server. You need to configure the settings and everything. And here you will get charged per hour. If you are running a server, whatever the cost per hour you need to pay. It doesn't matter how many requests you are having. If you are running a server, you will get charged. That is our server. So what is serverless now? On serverless, you don't need to create a server. Amazon will take care of that. You don't need to create, configure anything.
So you give the script and they will take care, just like how you said earlier.
Correct. So I will tell to the AWS that I need to run a PHP application. I need to run a Python application. I need to run a Node.js application. So Amazon will create a platform for me. Now here I will get one editor. I can write my script. I can define what I need to execute, what is my program and everything. And then whenever the request comes to the Lambda function, Lambda will execute that and it will give you output. So here you will not get charged for the 24 hours of consumption. Here you will get charged based on the number of requests you make. So in a 24-hour of span, if you get only 100 requests or thousands of requests, you will get charged for those requests only. You don't need to define the capacity. You don't need to provision the capacity. You don't need to scale your application. You don't need to have elasticity on your application.
So for example, I'm just trying to understand better. So if you have a e-commerce service where you don't expect too many requests to come in, so this is perhaps a good choice. It may be higher per request.
Yes.
Cost.
Not only too many, but if you have a very too high infrastructure as well, you can also go with that. Now Lambda function is also used for the backend job. It is generally used for the backend job. If you want to do some kind of run some business logic, if you want to create an order, if you want to do some batch operation, log processing, if you want to transform the data.
Wow. Okay. Makes sense. So batch processing is a fair example. You're saying you're going to hit request once. It's going to process for a long time, but give a result once. You're going to get charged once, even though heavy processing has happened.
Correct.
Awesome.
We can do the batch processing.
Thank you. Okay.
Now, in addition to that, AWS offers you 1 million Lambda requests per month for free. Every month, you get 1 million Lambda requests per month for free. So the initial 1 million Lambda requests will be absolutely free, even though if you exceed your free tier. So similarly, we are going to see a lot of other services which are serverless. And then finally, we are going to discuss about the well architecture framework, which is basically a study how to design the infrastructure. This is a study given by the varieties of solution architect to design the infrastructure. It's like a pillars of your foundation. Now in this course, approximately 60 to 70% will be the lab session. When we are saying that we need to have a server, storage, database, and everything, we are going to actually create the resource. So 60 to 70% with the lab session, you need to have more practical knowledge. Theoretical knowledge, you can do it by yourself. The core computing services, the core networking services, you can understand that. But you will require more and more practical skills.
So do you mean we need to have some sort of license product that we have to install, or how does it?
No, you don't require to buy any license here. So here license comes with the two packages. Either you can let Amazon to buy a license for you, so that as long as you are running a server, you will get charged. Once you are done, no charges at all. So if I go with the Windows and a SQL, so whatever the charges will be per hourly basis, I will get charged here. The another option is BYOL, bring your own license. So if I already have a license key, I can import it to the AWS and Amazon will register it for me. So, when we have a migration application, then in that case, we already have a license copy. So we can import that on AWS. So you have both the options. So when I'm saying that 60 to 70% will be the lab session, here you will not get charged for this. AWS offers you free tier account for the next 12 months. You create one AWS account and that will be eligible for the 12 months of free tier. To a limited services, AWS offers you free of cost. So creating a server, storage, database, load balancer, auto scaling, database, everything will be free in that case. Now, what are the limitations? I will give you in next session. But here you need to focus more on the practical part. The more hands-on lab you do, the more confidence you will get on the AWS, and it will become easy for you to crack the certification as well.
Hey Lalit,
So
this is Sridhar here. Sorry.
That's
Hey Lalit, I have a question. So, what is the basic difference between a traditional database and a cloud storage?
Both are same. Just the way to create an infrastructure on the cloud, that is slightly different. Here we need to design the infrastructure which is highly available, which is scalable, and thus.
So,
What we have on an on-premise traditional data center, the same data center will be having on the cloud. Just to create a resource, there is a simple different technique. That's what we need to see.
yeah. So, for example, I'm working I'm working on a conversion project which extracts the data from PeopleSoft to Workday. Workday is also a cloud-based ERP system. So what I do is I generate the XML files and send it to Workday, and they load it through iLoads. So I'm just curious to know how the data is stored in the backend of Workday. I mean, it's also cloud-based, right? So how is it stored?
So Workday, what their infrastructure is running at the background, that we need to see first of all, whether the data is stored on a DynamoDB, on a RDS system, that. So when you are loading an XML file, the possibility is, as this is a semi-structured file, the possibility may be the data is stored on S3 as a file format only directly.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you retrieve, it will have one partition key, or we can store on a DynamoDB. Data will be stored on a partition key, and the data will be retrieved whenever requested.
Okay. Yeah, actually, the problem with the Workday is they don't give us the implementer access. So
yes.
the Workday
Software as a
people,
service.
yeah.
I guess Workday is their own infrastructure, right? So they won't be sharing us that part.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
They will not share this information with you. It's a software as a service. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's talk about the AWS certifications. What are the certifications available? And after this course, which one you are eligible to go and crack the certificate? Now at the very low level, we have the AWS Cloud Practitioner, which is just a introductory certification about the AWS services, like when to go with EC2, what is EC2, what is S3, what is EBS, EFS, etc. That is a core knowledge is required here. Now this certification is beneficial for the people that belongs to non-technical department, like a non-technical manager, salespeople, who just want to deal with the AWS, but they are not sure about the AWS service. For them, a cloud practitioner is very well suited. It just costs you $75. Then there are 3 associate level certification: solution architect, developer, and SysOps administrator. Solution architect is the one that we are planning to go. What skills are required here to design the infrastructure? How you can design the infrastructure? So if a customer tells you that I have a ongoing infrastructure where I need to have 10 server, 100 GBs of storage, 1 database, and few other resources. So how will you architect that on AWS? That we are going to see on the cloud solution architect. That is what expected from you to design the infrastructure on the cloud. Now, once you architect this, the configuration of the infrastructure, the deployment of your application, and the development will be taken care by the developers. So that study you will have in AWS Certified Developer. How to develop an application on the cloud, how to deploy the application on the cloud. And this infrastructure will be taken care by the SysOps administrator. Auditing, security logs, management, identity system, everything that will be taken care by the SysOps. So these are the 3 different roles. Now in this role, we'll see at the solution architect one, how to design the infrastructure on the cloud. So what are the prerequisites required for this? As such, there is no prerequisite required. If you have a good understanding or have some little understanding of the basic core services, what is the computer, what is server, what is networking, database, then that is fine. So even if you are experienced or a fresher, for both, this is comfortable to go. You don't require any programming skills here. We are not going to write any single program. Everything is console based. We just need to understand how to architect an infrastructure, how we can have a hierarchy, scalability, reliability, resiliency, all these things. How to design infrastructure with all these parameters. Yes.
That's great to hear. So sorry again to interrupt. So you're saying for solution architect certification or for this course, you don't need anything more than a basic knowledge of what infrastructure it is.
Correct.
Great, thanks.
And then all this associate level certification will cost you $150. There will be extra fee. You have to pay $150 to get a certification. And you can only have one attempt for every fee you make. For every $150, you will only have one attempt. So try your best here so that you can clear in a single shot itself.
So for each $150, right?
Yes, for each attempt, you will have.
No. Each certification.
Yes, each associate level certification will cost you $150.
Okay.
Then we have professional level certifications, and there are two professional level certifications available: Solution Architect Professional and the DevOps. What we have seen in the associate level Solution Architect, this is the advanced to the professional level. Here, along with the infrastructure design, you will also require to know about the deployment, how we can do the deployment, how we can manage the multiple AWS accounts, etc. The complexity of this exam will be very high. So here, at least of 1 to 2 years of experience is required on AWS to crack the certification. AWS Certified DevOps is a combination of both developers and SysOps. Associate level, it will be combination of that, and here you will get even more complex questions. Each of these professional level certification will cost you $300 and a single attempt to clear. And then finally, we have a specialty level certification where varieties of specialty certifications are there. So if you are belong to one of the category, if you are, already have experience in big data, networking, machine learning, you can go with this specialty level certification. Now, recently, Amazon introduced 2 more specialty level certification, Alexa Skill and Database Administrator. So total now we have 12 certifications. Now there is no mandatory thing that you have to go start with a cloud practitioner and then you have to come till specialty level certification. You can go with any certification at any point of time. You can also go with directly specialty level certification. You can also go with the associate level certification. If you go directly with a professional or specialty level certification, that will be really very hard to crack the exam. If you have better understanding of how to design the infrastructure on the cloud and everything, it becomes easy to go with a specialty level certification. So my recommendation would be to go with any of this associate level certification and then plan for a professional one. And after this course, you can go with the Solution Architect associate level certification.
Would you have the same recommendation from cloud practitioner to associate, or
cloud practitioner is not required? If you are from non-technical background, then only I would recommend to go with a cloud practitioner. Otherwise, it is not at all required. That particular certification will not give you any benefit. All right.
Sure.
One question. Is the specialty level is the same faculty level as professional, or
yes,
how is it?
Compared to the professional, the complexity is very high.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so that's all from my side, guys. Let me know if you have any other questions, doubts regarding the course, anything.
Can you go back to that associate level?
Sure.
Associate level certification.
Yes.
So is there any order that we have to follow
No.
within these three?
No. There's no order. You can opt for any certification you want.
Okay.
Could you sorry to interrupt, could you tell the complexity of these three levels here in detail once again, in the associate level?
Yeah, the complexity here is not very high, but practical knowledge here will be required. You must understand how to design the infrastructure on the cloud, what are the best practices to follow. That will help you to easily crack the certification. So as I told you, the more you do the hands-on lab, you will be able to easily crack the certification here.
So hey Lalit, this is Satish. So
Yes, sir.
will your course covers all these certifications to take the exam?
No, this course will only cover this AWS Certified Solution Architect.
So that's associate.
Yes.
Do
Lalit,
you have
quick
other
question.
courses for the other things in the same associate level, or?
For developers and the system administrator is also there.
Oh, they are different courses.
Yes, they are different.
Okay.
Hey Lalit, I think you have answered this already in a fashion, but again I'm asking. So for associate level certification, specifically the solution architect course that this course is going to address, you're saying experience in AWS is not necessary as long as we could get along with the course, get our hands on through practical learning during the course.
Absolutely correct.
And how much of preparation perhaps? Sorry, you were saying something. Continue, please.
Yeah. So I was saying like this course will go for the next 3 weekends, 3 to 4 weekends, right? So in the meantime, if you keep on trying, I will be giving you a lot of assignments, a lot of practice here. So if you keep on going all the assignments and everything, after the end of the course, we can spend 7 to 10 days on the preparation, FAQs, documentation, lab practice, and then you are ready to go with the solution architect certification level. I will prepare you here everything which is required for the solution architect.
Awesome. I think you answered the question that I was about to ask. You read my mind.
Yes, yes.
So Lalit,
So how about the
question.
material required? So how about the material required? Would that be something all provided in the course that is all sufficient
Yes,
for the certifications?
yes. Everything I will provide it to you.
So for 2020, AWS has released a new version of the Solutions Architect one. So you'll be covering what are the new topics that came up?
Yes.
Okay.
So will you have any mock exams like that?
We are planning for that, but yet the system is under design, so it might take. But yes, I have few questions that I can share it with you, but don't treat it as a dumb.
So what's the difference between the 2018 and 2020 test?
Basically, Amazon last time in 2018 has released a new pattern where the domains are divided into 5 different domains. The entire AWS certification is divided into 5 different domains. Now in 2020, Amazon has released a new pattern where there are only 4 domains. The number of services will remain the same. What we are going to discuss in our course, that's going to remain the same. Just the pattern of the exam has changed.
So what do you suggest? Take the 2018 exam or 2020 exam?
2020 exam will be only active till June 30. I think June 30 or July 30 somewhere.
2018.
2018, yes. 2018 exam will be available till June 30 or July 30 somewhere. After that, you will only have the 2020 exam. Now, whatever you prefer, it doesn't matter. You will get a certification valid for the next 3 years.
Sorry, your voice broke up. So the certification is valid for 3 years. Is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay, and what would be the renewal process at the end of 3 years? Yeah.
Anil, you are asking so many questions. So can you give us some time?
No problem. We can answer all questions. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, basically we need to get turns, right? So my basic question here is, Lalita. So we are working on different technologies, different platforms, and by learning this course, right? So how would our career would be changing? So are we going into completely different job role and doing the stuff? So how this would help all of us? I know pretty much everybody are already working in different technologies and different platforms. Sorry, Anil.
Common questions, like most of you are working maybe from development side, maybe if you are from the administration or maybe some other networking security. Now here, you bring all the resources together here. You need to have a skills on networking, computing, storage, and everything. All right. Now, as our on-premise infrastructures are moving to the cloud, the benefits what we have seen is even if there is any startup company, even it's a very small mid-scale company is there, then they can also design the infrastructure on the cloud. So now whatever the infrastructure we are going to create, that will be moving to the cloud. So here, if you have a skills on the cloud, that would be help you to scale or enhance your skills and upgrade your career. As in the future, our infrastructure will be totally on the AWS or any other cloud vendors. So with this course, definitely you will boost your career.
So what will be the differences between AWS and Google or Microsoft clouds? Like all the concepts are same or similar, or
Yes. So basically, the cloud infrastructure is same. What AWS offers is the same cloud concept is available for the Google and the microservice. The difference here is AWS is more on the infrastructure side. Google platform offers you infrastructure, but it is very specialized in data. If you are running any big data application, Google Cloud will offer you a varieties of services in that. If you want to run and do some kind of testing and deployment thing, then varieties of testing and deployment tools are offered by the Microsoft services. So Microsoft is used for the testing and development. Google Cloud is more specialized in the big data, but AWS is specialized in infrastructure. So whatever your infrastructure is, maybe it's a big data, machine learning, or anything, you can design it here. Like here on the AWS console, I have already logged in. You can see we have varieties of services in compute, containers, storage, database, then blockchain, satellite even, management services, media related services. So if you are running any channel, Netflix application, Prime, and if you want to do this media encoding, transcoding, conversion, anything, you can directly use these services. For migration of your on-premise data to the cloud, machine learning services, a varieties of services are there, IoT and big data. So these are the managed service that AWS directly offers to you. You don't need to design a big data application. It is already there. You have to just connect and configure. Amazon will take care of the rest of the things. So Amazon offers you a varieties of services, and it is specialized in offering you infrastructure as a service. It is one of the oldest cloud computing environment with the expertise in infrastructure side.
Are you going to cover container related infrastructure also?
No. Container is not required in the solution I get associated with.
Okay. How do we practice these samples? So we need to pay, right, for the membership, or if we spin up any server?
Okay, as I told you, when you create an AWS account, you will get 12 months of free tier. Whatever the servers you will create, storage you will create, database you will create, that will be absolutely free for the next 12 months. There is certain limitations which I will share on the next day, on the next session, whenever we will have. I will share all these details, how to create an account and everything.
So is there any third party to test, like Quick Labs for Google? So do we have anything for Amazon?
Now, why you need that? I will be sharing all this information to you. How to create a server, how to create a storage and everything. And you will also get a recording. So you can again play the recording and do the lab sessions. Why you need to pay again for these resources.
Okay.
If I already use my month's like account, how I just trying to, some people might have already a free account.
How long is you have created the account?
My account was like 2017, so
Okay.
I haven't used much, but I used and I haven't
So
renewed it again.
You can create another AWS account.
You can just create another account, log in with a new user ID.
Different, use the different mobile number, different email ID, and the different credit and debit card details.
Got it.
If you are not sure, guys, about how to create an account, that's fine. And the next day, very first day, I will share all this information to you. Now, let me just show you one demo, how we can get a server in a few clicks. So I'm an AWS management console, and from here I can choose a region where I want to design the infrastructure. I'm stick with the Mumbai. I click on launch an instance. So these are the different kinds of operating systems available, and I can prefer whatever I need. As you can see, this is a free tier eligible. So if I go with this operating system, I will not get charged. I don't need to pay anything for the license here. The same will work for the Windows as well. These 2 Windows copies are comes with a free tier. So if you go with this, you don't require to pay any license here. I'll go with a simple Linux one. I go with a T2 Micro, which is again free tier. That will offer me 1 core CPU and 1 GB RAM. I keep this everything default. Storage 8 GB is fine. I give a name to my server. Let me call Linux server. I create a security group that is a firewall, how I can control my communication, who can connect to my server and who cannot. And I say SSH, and I will also add HTTP. Review and launch. And finally, I will set my authentication key pair so that only I can have a control on my server, and I launch a server. So as you can see, within few clicks only, my server is ready. Now it is in pending state. It will boot my server, and you can see my server is up and running. Within seconds, I got a server up and running.
Lalit, I have one question. Like, are we covering AWS CLI also in this?
AI?
No, CLI, command line interface. Because we are going through console, right? We are covering AWS CLI also in this course.
CLI will not be required for the solution architect, but to a certain level, we will need a help. So wherever required, I will help you how to configure and how to connect.
Yeah, because everybody is using now the CLI in the real environment. So like, I thought to ask you this.
My server is up and running. Let me show you how you can connect in a few clicks. So I go to my download section where my key pair is there, and I connect to the server. I pass a command, SSH-i, my key pair, username of my server at the public IP. If I hit, say yes, and you can see I'm connected to my server. This is 172.31.6.125. And if you see the private IP address, that is 172.31.6.125. So I'm connected to my server. Let's install one application. I install yum install HTTPD Apache server. So Apache server is now running. Let's download one template from the internet and host a website. I will be very quick, guys, but once we start the lab sessions, I will give you one by one thing. So I download one HTML template from the internet. Let's say this one. I copy the link and I go to var w.html folder and I download the file here. The file is available, devfolio.zip. Let's unzip. So data is available inside one of the folder. Let's move the data to var www.html. Now the data is available on my public folder. Final step, let's start the service. Now as soon as I click on start, now if I copy the public IP and hit from the browser, my application, my website is running. So you can see within a minute, I have hosted my application. Now what I need to do is, I just need to connect my domain with this IP address. So whenever the request comes to the domain, it will hit to this IP address automatically. You guys also try from your side. Just hit this public IP from your browser and you will be able to see the data. Try and let me know if you are able to see. It's 13.127.224.94.
Yeah, we are able to see it.
Right? You are able to see? Now let me just do one more thing. I go to the security group, which is my firewall, and I say the request should be only accepted for my IP. And I click on save. As soon as I change a rule, okay, 1 second. All right, let's do that later. So now, in this way, you can host an application within minutes. Your application, your data can be hosted within minutes.
So even for AWS developer or initial DevOps you showed, right, the SysOps. So even for them, they need to know all the kinds of AWS available. Right? So this course will be used for, I mean, in general, this course will be used for everyone, right?
Yeah. Basically, if you want to go with the AWS developer and SysOps, there will be no thing like how to create a resource. Like I just shown you how to create a server. On developers and SysOps, you will never come to know how to create a resource, how to design the infrastructure. There the resource is already created. You have to just connect, configure, develop, and deploy. That will be part taken care by the developer and SysOps.
Developer, I understand, but SysOps and DevOps, don't they create servers and all?
No, that is a job taken care by the solution architect.
So if I want to do the developer, don't we need to know the concepts of solution architect?
No.
Okay.
But I think it will definitely help to know all these different component, because we will be, as a developer, we will be dealing. So it should not be like totally unknown.
The amount of knowledge that you will receive in a solution architect, you will not receive in the developer and the SysOps. The knowledge will be more on how to design the infrastructure on the cloud. That will be very high on solution architect. Because here you are dealing with the customers, here you are dealing with the new requirements and how to design the infrastructure on the cloud. So, you know, the more knowledge will be available here. And once you have a core knowledge, yes, once you have a core knowledge, then you can explore yourself and design the other services. Then you can go for the developers as well, for the SysOps as well. If you have a core concept of the AWS know with the solution architect, you can easily then go to the developers and SysOps in future. But from developers to the solution architect, that will be very hard.
Oh, okay. Good to know, because till now I was on the impression of solution architect is only the basic kind of thing.
No,
So,
not a basic. This is at the very
no, out of those three, that's what I'm thinking. Basic in the sense, out of those three, I thought developer would be the detailed one, which is more technical and all those things kind of thing.
Solution architect will be very, very high level. Once you get to know about the core of the AWS, now you can in future go with the solution architect developers or the SysOps, whatever you need. Here, most of the services are covered.
So the solution developer, AWS developer, when it is starting the training?
Okay, so regarding the logistics, I think the Infinity team, operations team will help you with that. They will contact you and they will share. Hi, Praveen, can you share these details with participants?
Yeah, the AWS Cloud Engineering course will like from next week we'll start it. So we'll be covering this sessions in like it will be 3 days per week. So in 4 weeks time we'll be completing this course.
Okay.
And for the AWS, if you're asking for the DevOps thing, we have not yet planned it, but it's in pipeline. So we'll inform you as and when it's planned and scheduled.
So you said this course is three days a week, right?
Yeah.
Which days generally?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh, okay. Oh, continuous 3 days. Okay. For 2
But
hours.
Thursday it will overlap with Python, or Python is the last class, the upcoming.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Not this one.
Okay.
And what will be the timings?
No, so let me correct it. So from US timing, it will be like Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. For India, it will be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And this same timing for US time zone, 9:30 p.m. EST. For India, 7 a.m.
So what is the duration per day? Is it like 2 hours or 1.5 hours?
1.5 hour to 2 hour.
Most probably it will be 2 hours because the concepts are really very big. So we need some time to, cover everything. And
Is there any limit on the number of students or anything like that? Or
No, it's not like that.
okay.
Lalit, one quick question. Actually, my question is when we are in the class, do we need to follow you, like open our console, AWS console, and follow what you're doing, or just watch you do it and later on practice? Which one would be a good option for us?
I think the best option would be I will show you all the demos, labs, and everything, and later on you can try. Because at the same time, if you do, in the 2 hours, we will not be able to cover even a single topic. So I will show you maximum lab session, maximum demonstrations, whichever will be there. And later on, once you get a recording, you can try by yourself.
Okay, thank you.
So every day after the class, after a few hours, recording will be available in your profile. So you can watch videos and practice your lab.
Any doubts, any thing, then on the next day, we can discuss this.
So you mean to say only for few hours the recording will be available?
No, it will be available all the time.
Okay.
They mean within few hours it will be available.
Within few hours.
They will upload.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So it starts from tomorrow then, US time?
No, it will be start from next week same time.
On next Monday, not tomorrow Monday.
Yeah, okay. No.
Okay. So actually I'm interested in both architect and solution architect and developer. So how you are going to start these two courses and when they are going to start?
So this will be solution architect one, and developer we are planning to launch very soon. So we'll definitely keep informed. You can start with this architect one.
Okay.
What's the duration of the class? Sorry, I missed it. What's the duration of the class?
It will be from 1.5 hour to 2 hour.
No, just let us know the specific, like 9:30 to 11.
Okay, yeah. And
because
9:30
based
to
on that
11.
hour we have, yeah.
Okay, got
we
it.
can decide.
Yeah, yeah. So from 9:30 to 11:30 or 9:30 to 11 p.m. EST.
Okay. And this will be for 4 weeks or what?
So whole courses should be complete in 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Okay.
So is it if we are looking for developer, can we first join this and then go for developer or other courses also, or is it prerequisite to go in an order like?
I would recommend to go with the solution architect first, and then you can easily go and get the knowledge of the developers and SysOps. By the time we will also planning to start with the developers. So once we finish this, we can enroll for the developers as well.
So when will you be giving the lab sessions, Lalit? Will you be giving it on every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or after the Wednesday, will you be giving that?
What?
Lab session, lab homeworks that we have to do hands-on, right?
Lab is already a part of all our daily schedule. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday also, I will share you a lot of labs. Whenever we come to any service which requires labs, I will share it with you. You can later on then try.
Okay.
And regarding the task, Once you complete one of the module, I will share you the task you can then perform.
Okay.
Is there
And the
any
next-
like a single project that you give us, like we can build from start to end, or we are doing like random things like just building like
No, we don't have project right of thing. We'll keep on building our infrastructure with one by one service. Tomorrow we will add a EC2, then we'll add a load balancer, then we'll add a VPC, we'll add a database, and in this way we will design the entire infrastructure by adding the components one after another.
Is the next session is it tomorrow, same time?
No, it's
no, next week we'll start the full course.
Oh, next week. Okay.
Yeah.
But in the website is mentioned as a session 2 as tomorrow.
No, we'll
7
update
a.m.
it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Also, Lalit, like we are covering mainly on free services. So in the exam also we will get the most on that, or it will even also get on the paid services too.
No, you will mostly get from the free services on it. There is no concept of free and paid. Everything is chargeable. Just with your AWS account free tier, you get certain services free of cost to a certain limit.
Got it. Thank you.
Hey Lalit, this is Anil here again.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, Anil.
Sorry, I wanted to check that first because somebody picked on me some time back. Probably they're shy, but I don't know why. Anyway, so is there any material that we have to quickly skim through considering novice entrant before the first class that you recommend?
No, you don't require any other documentation, any other things. Once I start the course, I will share all the links with you. Now, if you want to study, the best resource what I recommend you is AWS documentation. It is very easy. It is very well organized. You can easily go there and have a look. It's docs.aws.amazon.com. You will have a very sufficient amount of knowledge there.
So
Okay,
what is
why?
that website you said? Sorry.
docs.aws.amazon.com. I'm sharing on a chat.
Thank you.
Yeah, the reason why I ask is, obviously I don't have any AWS background. I can understand all the infrastructure terminology, but I don't have any AWS background. That's why I asked that question. You're saying I'm still okay to join the course with that standpoint.
Yes. So on the very first week only, you will get to know what exactly we are trying to build in the AWS, what skills you will require and everything. And if any service requires any kind of prerequisite, then before a week, I will tell you what resources, what material you need to refer, how you can go through that, so that you can plan and study.
Okay, thank you, Lalit.
Even if you are completely new on the infrastructure side, completely new on the technology, that is also fine, as I earlier told. Even if you are fresher or professional, everything is cool.
Hey, can you please go to the slide where you have the contents? I want to see what are the topics you are going to cover. You walked through those, but I just want to. It's on the website. It's on the website.
It is also on the website. Yes.
Website is there.
Yeah, on the website I have posted already, so you can refer to it.
Oh, in the Infini website. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey Lalit, and one other question. So do we need any prior experience of the Linux or Unix in this?
Yes, if you have some prior experience on the Linux or how to manage a Linux server over the command line, that would be great.
If at all, if you don't have any prior experience, so then.
Yes, and I will share some guidelines with you. You can just go to that. You will be able to learn that. So again, you don't need to worry about anything. We'll share everything.
Okay.
So basically course will start from very basics. It will help you to understand step by step.
Just one more recommendation. Once we start the lab, once we start our course, you need to very focus on that. You need to keep on practicing and learning the things because AWS is very vast. So the more knowledge you will have, it will be great. So you need to keep on working around the AWS.
And one question, Lalit, do we need to know the Java programming?
No, not any programming you will require. As a part of solution architect, we are not going to deal with any programming.
Okay.
Lalit, do you have any good material where we can learn the Linux server-side commands and those things?
Yes, as I told you, in the EC2 itself, when we start with the EC2, I will share all this information with you. One after one, each module, I will share all the details. Okay. As of now, it's not pending with me. So I'm going to copy everything for you.
So one more last question if somebody has. Otherwise, we will wrap it up. And session will start from next week, same time, 9:30 Eastern time zone.
How will you communicate to us the next steps or?
If you have registered, we are going to send the email, and then if it's part of WhatsApp group, we will be keep on informing all the
Can
updates.
you, like I don't have the coordinates, the WhatsApp group or whatsoever. Can you ping it, or I don't know how to get to you? Is there an email ID that I can email you and then get into the WhatsApp? I don't know.
No, we are posting the group right now also here. 1 second. You can join this link. And if you have registered, we are going to send, we are going to share all the details anyway.
Can you at minimum post the WhatsApp group link if possible?
Yes, yes. 1 second.
Or even if you can pin your number in the chat, they will add you to WhatsApp group.
Yes, please.
Whom do I ping? Infini, or Lalit?
No, you can, you ping. Yeah. I ping the WhatsApp group link also in the chat box.
There we go. Okay.
And please do the registration so that we can inform the next step today only. So before we start the session, we should know that, okay, these many people are joining. That will help from day one if we have. So everybody will be on the same page.
So just to summarize, the US group will, so Monday, May 11th, correct?
Yeah, for US, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
And starting from May 11th.
Yes.
Okay. And Lalit, so next week, topic would be IAM. Is that correct?
Yes, we'll start with the basic of the cloud. We'll see what is AWS, how to create an AWS account, what is a free tier, what are the resources which is available to you for free of cost, and then we'll start with the IAM.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure who was talking, Lalit or Praveen earlier. The chat doesn't allow to be copied. So obviously,
Can you ping me number? I will add it to you.
Sure. Who is this? What do I select to ping? Infi Inc?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So to join this today's demo session, we got that code. So how to complete the rest of registration or payment or something like that? Is there?
Yeah, so we will, if you have done the registration, we'll send all the details by today only.
Okay.
In the email we are going to send.
Okay.
And in anyway, on website also, if somebody has any question, definitely feel free to reach out to us.
Okay, thank you, Lalit. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you guys. See you next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Lalit.
Thanks, Lalit.
Thanks, Lalit.
Thank you, Lalit.